Average rents on this multi-unit property is $1,216. He was seeing general market rents to the tune of $650 to $750. Do the math, right?
Greetings, well builders. Welcome to Get Diversified, your go-to podcast for all things real estate investments.
I'm Jacqueline.
Melvin Landry. We're thrilled to embark on this wealth building journey with you.
Imagine this. What if your investments not only secure your future, but also unlock a life of financial freedom? That's what we're diving into on this show. Apartment buildings, storage facilities, mobile home parks, the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. It's not just about investing. It's about crafting a legacy, building memories with your loved ones, and seizing every moment. Time is the currency of life. And let's be real, none of us wants to waste.
We've got the insights, experience, and dash of excitement to spice up your investing game. Plus, we'll throw in some real-life stories that'll make you see the potential in every brick and mortar.
Subscribe, buckle up, and get ready to turn your investments into the ticket to financial freedom. Together, we're not just building wealth, we're building the community of savvy investors. Let's get diversified.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Diversified. I'm your host today, Jacqueline Landry, but I have a special guest. Well, my other half, Melvin Landry. And so we had an interesting set of events happen to us today. We wanted to share that with all of our listeners and viewers out there. So let's just pretend like we're sitting at the kitchen table, honey. He's actually up in his office. I'm downstairs in my office. But let's talk a little bit about what kind of a phone call you got today.
Yeah, so I was out visiting properties, checking out on things, and I got a call from a local appraiser. We are working on refinance on some multifamily that we own and opportunity zone, and the appraiser was kind of perplexed at the fact in terms of the market rents that we were getting as part of being participants in affordable housing versus what particularly market rents would normally be for what he was seeing. To quote it as close as possible to the remnants of the discussion, he said, basically the rents that you were getting for your multifamily property was exceedingly higher than the norm from a market standpoint. And it's not anything that he has ever seen before. And this was taken into the fact that he has appraised the property a few years prior, but he could not understand why we were getting the rents that we were getting for at this particular times. I proceeded to kind of explain to him, in many cases, in some markets versus others, when you talk about HUD and affordable housing rent, in many cases, our market is a little different than most. Affordable housing rents are sometimes higher than your average market rents. And in many cases around the country, that's not quite the case, but, where we're at in Western Pennsylvania, see multifamily, the rents that we're getting are substantially higher. And that prompted a call from Neil Wall Appraisal to kind of have further discussion to talk about what were we doing different, what were some other things we were taking into consideration, and just kind of have a discussion about our respective business model. So kind of caught me off guard today, but it was good to have the discussion to share some of the things that we're doing, the reasons why we're getting the higher rents that we're getting, and a little bit behind the basis for our overall business model.
Okay, cool. So let's take a step back for our listeners and viewers out there. So we all know that the way that you determine the value of the property is the NOI divided by the cap rate. So one of the first questions you asked them was, what cap rate are you using? And he said what?
Yeah. He said cap rate typically it was between 8 and 9. You think about Opportunity Zone Class C, which was basically what we had originally underwritten for. We had seen a previous appraisal before purchase of this particular multifamily property, and they gave a cap rate, I recall, of being 7.5. So as you can imagine, right, cap rates have expanded, and the values have dipped a bit in some markets. But again, right, when you're evaluating and you're underwriting, you're looking at those respective leverage points when you're trying to predict and anticipate what your final value is going to be post-renovation, right? That's why we do what we do, right? So in terms of getting your properties for the right price, I've been doing this long enough to know where in most cases by tier, almost to the dollar, where will rents land from an affordable housing standpoint. So in chatting with the appraiser, right, I kind of discussed that in terms of, the overall rents, they can be 110, 120% over kind of general market rates. To put it into context for this particular building that we were talking about, our average rents on this multi-unit property is $1,216. He was seeing general market rents to the tune of $650 to $750. Do the math, right?
Yeah.
From
So
my,
let's
yeah,
let's actually do that math for our for our listeners and for our viewers. So let's just get your calculator out, honey. Okay, so let's just use 700. So 700 times 8 units is how much?
$5,600
Okay,
per
times
month.
12 for the year.
67,000.
Okay, and what expense ratio would you use?
In this particular case, for this multifamily property, landlord pays all expenses, all of
Okay,
them. So in most cases, when the landlord pays all the expenses, at least 40 to 50% expense ratio. But for the
okay, so
sake of numbers, I'll say 40.
let's do that. So now what is our NOI after that calculation?
Gives us a net operating income of
Okay.
$30,240 for an 8-unit building.
Okay, let's just do okay, so 30,200. So divided by a 7.5 cap rate.
That gives us a value of approximately $403,000.
Okay, 403,000. So that was so I'm just going to recap this for the listeners and viewers. $700, 45% expense ratio, $403,000 is the ARV. Very different than what is actually happening. So as Melvin stated, 1216 is our average rent. So let's do the same thing, put in the same numbers. 1216 times 8 times 12 times a 45% expense ratio. And what is that giving us for the NOI divided by a 7.5 cap rate?
That gives us a value of $856,000.
Okay. So let's stop there for a little bit. So, the appraiser was giving my husband a little bit of pushback. I wasn't on the call, but he explained this all to me. So he was saying, well, I don't know how you guys are getting 1216. It is. We have leases. We have leases to back it up. And they're leases, and most of the leases are paid by our housing authority. Okay. So we do have a few other people in there that are paying that are not getting their rents paid by the housing authority. But you're looking at $403,000 ARV versus $856,000 ARV. That is a pretty big difference
Delta.
in the delta in how you would appraise a building. So this is one of the reasons that this appraiser, young appraiser, gave Melvin a call and said, and I'm having some trouble because I've never seen this before. So give me some talking points. How did you walked him through the fact that we're paying all the utilities, that we're getting a little bit more rent because we mostly deal with the housing authority, and most of these units are housed by folks with housing vouchers. What other things did you tell him to try to persuade him and understand our business model and how it's a little bit different than how he may normally see it?
So let me just kind of take a step back. I wouldn't use the word persuade because we're not trying to persuade anything here. The numbers are where they are, and our model is tried and true. That's the reason why we do the things that we do. So that was one of the things that I was actually defending in their overall discussion with this appraiser. I basically indicated that, he indicated that landlords with similar units in that area are getting $650 to $750. And my rebuttal is, okay, but how are they running a profitable business? At those rates, there's no way I wouldn't touch property in that area, because at the end of the day, while we're of a mission to provide affordable housing, it needs to be profitable for it to be worth our time. I kind of explained that accordingly. Secondly, with this respective model, right, we have debt on the building, right? In many other cases, other competitive type products may not have debt on it, okay, in which they can keep their rents terribly low, in my viewpoint, and not to the standards that we do when we renovate and provide exceptional class housing for folks in these areas. So, I kind of defended that model also as well. And, and I also spoke to the notion of in many cases, particularly our market is different from, say, a Tampa. It's different from a Dallas. We're one of the few markets whereas affordable housing rents are higher than market rents in many regards. It's not like that across the country, but it is where we are.
Yeah.
So that lent to the response to some of the uniqueness of what the appraiser was seeing in the disparity of the overall data. I mean, look, if honestly, if I'm going to get 650 to 750 for a one bedroom for this small amount of multifamily and that class and opportunity zone, that's not worth our time. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. It is what it is. So we know for a fact this model, which, working with programs, affordable housing, the need is there and we can get higher rents. I mean, this is why we do what we do. And essentially, I mean, you're talking Class C areas, opportunity zone. It needs to be worth it in order for us to proceed with that. So, I kind of provided a respective kind of fair response in terms of defending our model, defending the contracted rents, and also, right? I mean, we could have provided and went 100% affordable housing, but I didn't want to do that, right? For the simple case of having to defend a case and challenge, whereas it's like, oh, well, you have 100% affordable housing. This is why your rents are high. Well, that's not quite the case. I
Yeah.
go for a fact to provide that variance. In this case, it's 2 out of the 8 units that are non-affordable housing, and guess what? Those are the highest rents above the average. So that also lends to the credibility of the model, the credibility of the overall balance, and the credibility to the higher anticipated value of what we're hoping for, right? We'll see
Yeah.
where the chips fall at the end of the day. But I mean, again, this is why we do what we do in the way that we do it.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. The first scenario we have $403,000. Second scenario we had $856,000. Well, we owe $300,000. I'm just going to round it to that number, $300,000. So you're talking about putting $2,250 in your pocket or putting $342,000 in your pocket.
Makes a
So how
difference.
did I get that? It's 75% of your accounts or of your ARV. Very big difference, right? So our model, as everybody knows that's kind of listening, is we do the BRRRR method, right? So we do the cash out refi. That's what we do so that we can use that capital to put in into additional investments. So $403,000 ARV on this property isn't going to do it for us. It's based 75% of that is $302,250.
Yeah, and for
So
the listeners out there,
if you owe the lender $300,000, then that's like basically zero in your pocket.
yeah, it's not worth the blood, sweat, and tears,
It's not
and
it's
not
not
it's, it's,
worth
it's
it.
not it's not worth it. So, and for those out there who are listening, right, you heard my wife mention ARV. That's after repair value. Okay, so yeah, at the rents, at the market rents in this respective area, it's just not worth it. Not
Yeah.
worth it. We defer to going to better areas if that's the case, or even just kind of looking at another model outside of that, outside of what we're dealing with. So huge disparity, but it was worth speaking to it. I mean, because again, you're talking about not even $2,000 in your pockets once you talk about title and fees
Yeah, that's true.
and
That's
points.
true.
You're bringing
That's
money
true.
to closing.
Yeah.
So absolutely not what we're in this for.
Yeah. So tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day that we get the appraisal back. So stay tuned. All will please comment. Comment below. Send us a text or DM us and let us know where you think this appraiser is going to come at what the after repair value is going to be. So we'll be on the next episode. We'll share a little bit of a response with you and then kind of let you know how this all fared out. But we felt that this was extremely critical to share with our viewers and our listeners. So
I'll close with this before we kind of go. You see a what $400,000 disparity. While I don't expect the appraisal to come in anywhere close to 850, given the long discussion I had with the appraiser, I do expect to come in at a feasible value that's favorable for the amount of work that we've put into the property that reflects the multiple of the rents that we're getting for the respective areas. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it comes into, but
so
trust the process.
your bet is 7 to 750. I'm probably going to go a little bit on the lower end. So how about you take 750, I take 700, and we'll see who wins.
We'll see.
All right, guys, peace out. Stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.